Hello, everybody. Welcome to Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents and ahead of blank game week 33. We've got a very big rivalry to discuss. Firstly, let me introduce you to Andy Mine, FPL _tactician, our Leeds United correspondent. How are you, Andy?
Very well. Well, better than I was a few days ago, but yeah.
Yep, that same for me, mate. We'll come back to that. And we've also got with us Gary Robinson at Is My Cap Playing, our Manchester United correspondent. How are you, Gary?
Yeah, very well as well, yeah.
Andy, you support one of the biggest clubs in this country. Let's not hide away from that, in spite of the fact you've obviously been out of the Premier League for a long time. How has it been for you this week watching on at what's been going on with all this Super League nonsense?
Still horrible. I still absolutely hate it. I felt sick on Monday. I didn't sleep properly Sunday night. I was just thinking, this is the end of football. How has it got to this? How is the romance of football dead? And just the greed. And it's not even just football. It's just everything, like in business as well. Like billionaires just trying to get richer. That's the thing that winds me up the most. Like just the integrity of it. Like just even think it's a good idea to go ahead with it. And as a Leeds fan, I mean, the way I see it as well, I see the split as like the Super League clubs. You've got the English lot who are owned by billionaire owners whose sole intention is to get richer. And then I see it as the Italian and Spanish clubs as we need this to survive because we've overstretched ourselves. And they're desperate. They're absolutely desperate to get this money because if they don't get this money, that's the end of them. So I can kind of see why their intentions are still like strong. But for the English clubs to go along with it just because the billionaire owners are getting richer and richer, not good.
Do you really think the Juventuses, the Real Madrids and the Barcelonas could fold here? Or at least not be what they are now?
Not be what they are now. And they're trying to keep the elite level going because they can't continue the model they're going at. I mean, we discussed a minute ago, like saying David Alaba's linked for £400,000 a week. Ronaldo's on like £800,000 a week. It just can't continue with no revenue coming in.
Well, that's where I understand mistakes might have happened. That's where for Madrid, I think in particular, I don't think anyone's got any sympathy for Florentino Perez at the moment. We could definitely do a whole podcast just about that, man. To have sympathy when they haven't got any money, supposedly, they're nearly £1 billion in debt. Excuse me. We did a podcast on Barcelona about a month ago about their £1 billion debt. And yet we know that the pair of them have both held talks with Erling Haaland's representatives about trying to buy him and stuff. And it's going to be monster wages. You're talking about Alaba, $400,000 a week. Haaland will push past $500,000 a week or so if he joins one of those clubs. So under those circumstances, very difficult to have sympathy.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. And as a Leeds fan, if you go back 20 years, we had owners who gambled, overstretched themselves, and we paid the consequences. And I know it's harsh, but I want that to happen to these clubs. If you're mismanaging your club, people at the top are lazy and owning the club and not doing the right things, then they deserve to be punished and deserve to be rotten down the lower leagues like we were. Because Peter Risdale gambled that we get Champions League. We didn't. All that money he had on wages and it just broke. And yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing the same for these clubs.
You absolutely chased the dream, and it made people actually like Tottenham. Tottenham shit themselves because of what happened to Leeds in terms of what they were going to spend expenditure on transfer fees and wages. The argument always that came back to supporters then was we don't want to do what Leeds did.
Yeah.
I mean, you shared before we started. How long did you pay Robbie Fowler's wages for, supposedly?
About 10 years after he left.
Astonishing. And we was talking about the rumoured Seth Johnson story, which is quite famous, that he turned up looking for sort of somewhere between 10 and 20 grand to sign a contract with Leeds. And the first thing he got offered was 40 grand a week. It's astonishing. You chased the dream. And ironically, as you said to me, the year you got to the Champions League semi-final, had you qualified for the following season's Champions League again, what you then went through for 16 years or so being out of the Premier League probably wouldn't have happened.
No.
There was a gamble on the sustainability of the Champions League money even then, back in I think 2001. I want to say, Andy, you got to the semi-finals. Even back then, there was a reliability on the sustained income of Champions League money. Leeds took the gamble basically before everybody else did, and it didn't work out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, and as you say, we'd be a big club and we'd be in the Big Six now, I think, if we'd have qualified for Champions League that following year, because the model was there. It just collapsed because we didn't qualify again. That's the end of it. Yeah.
Gary, you've obviously been at the heart of this week as a Manchester United fan. How are you feeling?
Well, relieved now because I don't think it'll happen. Well, it's not going to happen now. But I still think they'll try. Someone will try and resurrect this, won't they? Whether it's next year, 5 years, 10 years. But yeah, for now, just relieved. Really, I think more relieved from a selfish point of view that I still feel that you can support those players and Solskjaer, and obviously the owners are still there, but we're used to them owners now, so none of that's a surprise how the Glazers have acted. That's what they are. But at least now I can feel like we can still watch the Premier League next season with Manchester United in it and the Champions League, hopefully, and just feel that you're not. Because I think the thing that I was worrying about the most from my own point of view was, obviously I was bang against this Super League idea. But if it had started in August and we were playing Barcelona, was I actually not going to watch United? And it's all right, all of us saying, I won't watch the Super League. But if that's the only competition United would have been in, would I have watched it? And the answer probably would have been reluctantly, I probably would have started watching it, because you can't just stop supporting someone after 25, 30 years of watching them and basing your whole weekends around watching them and things like that. And I probably would have watched it. And at least now I can feel, even if we finish 8th in the league next season, or we get knocked out of the Champions League in the groups again, at least I can just feel happy watching them. So that's the main feeling. But other than that, I mean, some of the things that were spoken about earlier on in the week and at the weekend by them owners, and some of the stories coming out of there was that they were likening themselves to the Matt Busby team pioneering in Europe and things like that. And I just thought it's just disgusting, some of the things they link themselves with. And I bet the Glazers don't even know who Matt Busby is. I'd be surprised if they did. And I'm just glad that Woodward's gone, and I'm just glad it didn't. And obviously that's a selfish point of view as a United fan. I'm just glad for the for the good of the game, really, and for every fan of the rest of the Premier League and the rest of the lower league teams who would have been deprived of the solidarity payments and all that. I think for now, English football's back as it was, and that's the main thing. But from a selfish point of view, as a United fan, and you probably use the same, James, would you have not watched Spurs anymore? It's all right saying, I don't like the Super League, but well, what, you're going to you just don't support a team anymore? It's easier said than done now, unfortunately.
I've seen splits among Emma Story, you might remember, come on our Planet FPL 24-hour stream last year. She said she's going to give up her season ticket. I just don't, and I don't disapprove of what Emma's doing. I think, like, in terms of principle, fair game to her. But for myself, I don't think I could do that. I can't change the club that I support. And it's the team as well, right?
Yeah.
I think, am I right in saying that at United, some of the mottos sometimes has been like, hate the Glazers, love the club, right? And I think that probably applies for a lot of the big six supporters at the moment. I mean, it's great to see the unison amongst the supporters, even what Abramovich has done for Chelsea and the way they went after the club, not so much specifically Abramovich, but really went after Chelsea on Tuesday and stuff. And I know the protest at Tottenham yesterday was nowhere near that. It was never going to be, but the message was still out. If you look on the back of a newspaper this morning, you'll see Ennick out, Levy out, pictures all over the papers and stuff. So the message has continued, and I'm pretty sure that Arsenal will continue that on Friday night. Liverpool will do the same on Saturday, and your chance will come at Old Trafford as well, Gary. I'm absolutely certain about it. And there's obviously even scenes at Ellen Road on Monday night as well, right?
Well, I don't know if you've seen that yet. There's been this morning, the fans have gone to Carrington and blocked the entrances to Carrington, and they've got on the training pitch as well. So that's literally happening as we speak. So
wow, I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, if you have a look on social media, there's pictures of them all. They've got onto the training pitch at Carrington and blocked the entrances and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think the feeling's still out there. And I think for fans of clubs and for clubs who've, Man United have won the Champions League recently, And I think the idea that we would just become part of some cut-off Super League and people would enjoy that. I mean, part of football, of being a football fan, and in life, is that the good points about being a football fan are there because you go through the bad times. Now, as a United fan, what are the bad times realistically? But it's all comparative, isn't it? So them seasons when you get knocked out of the Champions League in the semi-final and away goals, you think, oh, we're never going to win this. And then when you finally win it, that's why it's amazing. That's why when Leeds finally get promoted after 15 years, 16 years of League Two and all the rest, or League One, that's League why two. It's amazing. Yeah, that's why it's amazing, isn't it? Or it's all comparative. You can't just say, oh well, we'll just play Barcelona every week for the next. But for what context? There would have just been nothing on it, and I'm just glad it's not happened, and I'm just glad that enough people spoke up about it, and hopefully these owners come to the senses. And like Andy said, I don't know why the English clubs are getting involved. They've already got the biggest TV deal for their own league. They're already getting a massive share of the Champions League pot. I don't know what's in it for them, because the money on show. I mean, I don't understand how all these supposedly bright billionaires have come to this project without a TV deal in the back pocket, because I can't believe that, they spoke about £3.5 billion from JP Morgan, but who was going to put this on the telly, and how much was that going to be worth to them?
Someone would have, Gary. 100%.
Yeah, but who? Who would have put it on, and how much?
I think it was like Disney or Amazon was mentioned a lot.
Yeah, so let's say Disney and Amazon, how much were they going to pay? Bearing in mind that they're already getting $2 billion a year from overseas rights, and whatever the Champions League deal is about $3 billion. So who was going to put up £5-6 billion for these TV rights?
And why someone would have, Gary. Honestly, I think it was going to happen.
Yeah, maybe. But and even if it was, why did they not already have that site? If they'd announced this Super League and said, "Oh, Disney are giving us $6 billion, it's done," everyone would have gone. There would have been nowhere for it to go. But now, because of the uproar, which TV company was going to get involved with it?
If you would have been any sort of company endorsing this competition without getting full approval and announcement, etc., prior, I think you'd have been pretty mad to put your name to that in prior. So I completely understand. I mean, we knew where the money was coming from in terms of the bank and stuff, but in terms of a sponsorship, like Heineken or Gazprom or whatever, getting involved with this kind of thing, like they would have been absolutely mad to put their name to this before anything was announced. I would want to come back to one point you made, Gary, about the highs and lows. I mean, that's really important to understand for people who support fans outside the Big Six. I mean, the perfect example is you won 12 league titles in 19 years, Gary, but I don't think anything could have felt much lower than when Aguero scored against QPR, right?
Yeah, it is all comparative.
You have the lies. If you don't have those lows, you can't experience the highs and feel them, right?
Precisely, yeah. And so when you win it the year after, that is amazing. Exactly. Yeah, of course it does. And obviously it's the lows don't mean as much because, well, we finished second in the league. It's not a disaster compared to, say, Hull City going to Division 4 and getting back up to the Premier League and things like that. But it's all comparative, isn't it? And I remember like watching the Champions League when I was younger. We used to get our asses handed to us by Juventus, and we went out on away goals to Monaco, and Dortmund beat us even though we battered them and things like that. And you just think, we're never going to win this Champions League. It's too hard, this. And then when you do win it, when you actually win it, you think, fuck, it's unbelievable to win it. And then, and then again, in between the 2 years we won it in 99 and 2008, we barely won a match in it. We barely won a knockout game in it for years and years. And you think, oh, it's never going to happen again. And then you win it and you think, oh, it's unbelievable. This Super League wouldn't have been that, because there would have been what would the lows have been? Oh, you finished 9th in the Super League. So what? We might finish 3rd next year. What? It wouldn't have meant anything. And, I think it just, without getting too philosophical, it just sort of sums up what life is now, isn't it? People don't want to sit through hours and hours of stuff. They don't want to have the down parts. They just want that instant fake fun. And that's it. But thankfully, the football world have gone, no, we don't actually want that. We want to watch, Man United versus Burnley, or people actually want to watch Leeds versus not Leeds, sorry, but they want to watch. People do want to watch Aston Villa versus West Ham and 15th against 17th. They want to watch that. Maybe they don't want to watch it as much as they want to watch Liverpool versus City, but people want to watch it, and people don't want to watch United versus Real Madrid week after week, year after year for no real context.
That's the point, isn't it? Like if you draw them in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and you haven't played them for 7-8 years, it becomes special, doesn't it? Like a really big deal. Think about Ronaldo playing against you for the first time for Madrid and stuff like that. These nights felt like special and incredible. And you, Andy, have obviously been through the whole range of this just this century. You've been beaten in a Champions League semi-final, and you've also lost to Doncaster Rovers in a League One playoff final. So if I'd have said to you the night you were playing Valencia, and I think Deportivo you beat in the quarterfinals when you were hanging on grimly in the quarterfinals, trying to make sure it didn't go to extra time. If I'd have said to you, yeah, mate, in the next 20 years, you're going to lose a League One playoff final to Doncaster, you would never have believed me. And you definitely would have thought, if I'd have said to you, you're going to be in League One, and when you get promoted, you're going to have a huge party, you'd have said, well, if my team's down there, I wouldn't care about it. But you go through the range of emotions as your football club changes and goes through certain things. And you would have celebrated, I imagine, getting promoted from League One just as much as you celebrated getting promoted from the Championship, right?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, and the whole pyramid can't be lost. That's the most important thing about football and in this country, is that you can dream, if you're bottom of League Two, you can dream that you can get to Premier League one day. I mean, I live in Bournemouth, and Bournemouth have done the same thing. They're scraping around for money. My uncle's forking out £100 to put in a bucket at the bottom of League Two when they're in administration. 10 years later in the Premier League, and you've got to keep that dream alive. Like, who would have thought little old Bournemouth would get to Premier League? Because it can happen in this country.
And there's others have done that. I mean, Wolves is a perfect example. Great historical club from the 50s and the 60s, who died on their arse in the 80s and went right to the bottom. Could have gone out the Football League. Burnley were bottom of Division 4, I think in 87, 88, stayed up on the last day. Swansea came through the leagues. There's been others as well. The Wimbledon story.
Well, look at Hull City. I mean, when Jimmy Glass scored that last-minute goal for Carlisle, Hull City were in that league at that time. That helped Hull City stay up that season as well. And what were they? 8 years later, they were fifth in the Premier League and top after the first 10 matches and things like that. Fair enough, they've bounced back down again now, but that's what it is, isn't it? You know, that's the story and the dream, isn't it?
And that dream will die if you create this Super League. What's the point for these League Two clubs? What's the dream? So to get to the top division, which doesn't really mean anything, like it's got to mean something. So
the likes of Leeds, I know particularly Leeds because of the size of the club. I use it as the example, but we could also put, say, Sheffield Wednesday in there, for example. You know, it can go. And suddenly you're out of it. Look at Portsmouth. Portsmouth fans wouldn't swap winning the FA Cup in 2008 and that kind of thing. But they went to the highs. They played Milan in Europe and stuff, and then went all the way down to League Two and that. So it can go the other way as well. And that's it. Like if you gamble financially, there's a chance that you know, if you're not prudent with what you do off the pitch, is what happened with obviously Leeds, then you can fall down the leagues as well.
Yeah, and that should happen.
What would have given Leeds the right to stay in the Premier League at the time? Sorry, Andy.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that should happen. If you're mismanaged and you're not run properly, the consequences should be relegation.
And equally, the if you are managed and you are run properly, the result should be that you get that pot of gold that the Premier League gives you. Well, if them six had gone, the Premier League TV money would have halved. If that, there wouldn't have been that jackpot to win, would there? And I know it's not just about the money and it's about the fans and playing in the Premier League, but it's about the club getting all that money back, isn't it? And having the chance to have 100 million quid in the back pocket. That would have gone because the Premier League would have been, well, it wouldn't have been worth a carrot really, would it, if them six had gone? So, yeah.
Let's leave that there, guys, because you and I, the three of us, could discuss this for hours, I think. So let's leave it there. The conversation will certainly rumble on in the next couple of weeks or so, and probably longer. There's no doubt about it. Andy, I want to ask you about the rivalry. Why is Manchester United the big game for Leeds?
we hate them because they've been quite successful and they're not too far away from us, really, at the other side of the Pennines. They didn't like us in the 70s. We didn't like them back there.
Crystal Palace and Brighton don't like each other, mate, but I'm just not having it as a rivalry. But I know that this one obviously is. Why? Just don't like each other? Why is that? Why is that ingrained to you as a Leeds fan? Is it because you don't have a certain rivalry with a near neighbour like a Liverpool and Everton, for example?
Yeah, I mean the clubs in Yorkshire we don't really treat as proper rivals.
Don't love that, Andy. I'd switch off your Twitter account, mate.
It's always Man U. You look to the Man U, the game is the big one. Yeah, I mean, is it just ingrained that you hate them because of the success through the ages, I guess?
Why do you dislike them, Gary, or does it not matter?
I think in the 90s and 2000s there was a real hatred there, wasn't there? And I think, like any rivalry, when you don't play them and things like that, but obviously that dissipates a bit. But I don't really know. I guess it's just that northern thing of another northern city, isn't it? But I don't really know. But I suppose, I mean, when I was growing up, they were a good side as well. So that always adds to the spice, doesn't it? When they're as good as you. And I wonder I guess it'll really heat up when we get fans back in the grounds. I don't think the rivalry's quite there at the minute because the fans aren't involved, are they? But yeah, I don't know really. It's just a bit of I guess it's just that northern thing, isn't it? Like United, Liverpool and the rest of it.
I think there is a little bit of that city rivalry in the north between, say, Liverpool, Leeds, Manchester. Well, it doesn't feel any rivalry between Liverpool and Leeds particularly. I guess there's probably a lot of that in terms of, obviously, we mentioned Sir Matt Busby obviously won the European Cup in 1968. And then Leeds obviously had an exceptional team in the 70s. So I think there was that, as you said, that competitive edge. And I just wonder in terms of when we came into, let's call it the money era, the Premier League and Sky and stuff, obviously Leeds won the last First Division and United won the first Premier League. And between the two of you, in between those two titles, there was obviously a very significant transfer in, obviously, Eric Cantona going between the two clubs. So I wonder if it's kind of gone through historically. And then do you think, Andy, that the Cantona was kind of after you've really tussled for the 1992 title and then the Cantona transfer, did that kind of really tip the rivalry to its peak, do you think?
I think that did help, definitely. For Cantona to go to Man U after a successful season with Leeds, it's like it leaves a bitter taste in the mouth, doesn't it? I mean, it happened with Alan Smith as well, horribly. And he was more of a legend than Cantona was at Leeds. He was a proper hero, proper Leeds boy. And then to go to Manchester United, like he could have gone anywhere at the time.
Well, they probably paid him the most money, mate. Is what
I guess it's the money, wasn't it? Yeah.
And then he got that career-ending injury. So
no, don't do that, Andy. Don't do that. Let's talk about the seasons then. Andy, you must be delighted. You look like you're going to finish top half. And I know you refuse to say Europe, ironically, is a possibility. But any hopes? I mean, it could come down to 7th.
Yeah, I mean, 3 wins and a draw for the last 4 games. Fantastic form now. I mean, we are looking up. We're not looking down. I mean, last time I was on here, I was still a bit cautious. Still haven't got 40 points. But now, really comfortable, really playing some good stuff. And even against the bigger teams, we're looking confident, look quite sharp. And we could have beaten Liverpool Monday night. So I think with the fixtures we've got left, why not? Yeah, go for it. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, the pressure's off us. Go for it.
I'd been saying recently that I thought there might have been, because we always say Leeds always play the same way. I was conscious that there might have been, pragmatic always feels like the wrong word to use with you, that something might have been changing purely off it was something that's been going through my mind since the Chelsea game, which was the first game where you basically didn't have the majority of possession, and it wasn't close. Like they really had a lot of it.
It's like 69%, I think. Yeah.
I think it was about 63, but it was a lot, right? I think you'd only had one previous game where you'd been 49 or less, right? And then you actually got Fulham had more possession against you as well. And then obviously against City, obviously the red card, but again, City had sort of 63% possession in the first half before Cooper's red card. And you think, well, you expect that. But the point is, you had, 72% possession second half against Liverpool on Monday night. And that's now made me go, yeah, drop this pragmatic shit, because you had 4. I know you were chasing the game and that helps.
Yeah.
But then you saw Liverpool defending the lead against Arsenal a few weeks ago, and they still had like 70% possession in the second half and stuff. So
I think Monday night Fabinho makes a big difference to go back in centre defence rather than centre. He's like the best player in that position in the league, in my opinion.
It's filling one problem and creating two problems, basically. But yeah, that's a Liverpool issue. It definitely helped. But then, Monday night as well, Andy, was without your best player, mate.
Yeah. And we created good chances, but I don't think we played particularly well. But on second half, we were smashing it. I don't think the players were playing exceptionally. It was just the way we set up and the way we pressed them and attacked them second half. We took the game to him. I mean, Bamford could have had a couple of goals. He finished badly. I think Roberts wasn't great. But the way we played, we dominated that second half, which is great to see. Even playing badly, I thought, individually.
Are we expecting Raphina back Sunday? Are you aware of anything?
I've heard touch and go. I think it was more serious than first. Yeah, I think it's more serious than what was first thought. I mean, it looked nasty when it happened. But let's start off with, because it was against Chelsea. Was it Chelsea?
City, the injury, wasn't it?
Oh, City, sorry, yeah, City, the injury, yeah. It was, I didn't think it looked too bad, but I think it might be more serious, more than like a dead leg. So he might miss another game, unfortunately.
Well, that would be a pain in the arse, because there's a lot of people who have been kind of leaving him on the bench ready to go to obviously cover this blank game week with obviously Tottenham and City not playing. And it's possibly going to enforce a lot of people to have to sell him. I think I'd have to as well. But I mean, those final 5 fixtures, Brighton, Tottenham, Burnley, Southampton, West Brom, that's why for me on wild cards going into 31, that's why Raphina still came with me. So I'm loath to get rid to cover the game week if he's going to be back for 34, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, same here. I mean, I need one of Nat Phillips or Raphina to be okay for me to field 11. So I'm hoping one of them plays. But Raphina's touch and go, so hopefully, yeah, he's important to us.
What would you say to non-Stuart Dallas owners?
I say, like myself, I say you need to get him back in, really, because he's not moving back into defence anytime soon. And he's going to keep shooting in games. So I need to get him back in. Top scoring
defender in FPL. I mean, in hindsight, Andy, that Ayling call.
It was a 50-50 call. This season,
we all know it was. I'm only joking.
Ayling 0 goals, 0 assists.
That's incredible.
Can't believe that.
I loved the celebration at Fulham. Poor bastard.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking for him. The whole air guitar, headband.
That's 5.2 million for the highest scoring defender in the game, and with those final 5 fixtures, and it's not like you're incapable of beating Manchester United at the weekend. You are very capable. It's got to be worth a shout for. I mean, if you can get from Phillips to Dallas, Andy, for example. Phillips is out.
No. Just slightly out of it. But I think that would be my move anyway to get Dallas back in, because I took him out because the fixtures. I was thinking, it's not going to get clean sheets. It's going to be limited attacking returns, and he goes and gets a 17-pointer against City, which is joyous. Again, another highlight of the season.
He actually gives you something going forward that other players in the squad don't, because he runs beyond Bamford. He actually runs into and attacks the space, which actually, when he plays left back, I watch some games, I think Leeds are a bit static here in terms of movement off the ball and trying to get in and beyond Bamford. What a brilliant little asset. And I guess Bamford would have to be a consideration for the running, wouldn't he? If people have got forward issues like Calvert-Lewins and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think there's not many forwards to go to. I don't know. There's like 6 or 7 forwards left in the game, isn't there? With everyone like Martial out and other people like that out.
My understanding is that Harry Kane will probably play on Sunday. But if there was some news that he was out for a few weeks, that's part of the answer, isn't it? You can get Kane down to a Bamford, and you can get a Phillips up to a Dallas, and then move your money around from there, I think. Gary, Bruno Fernandes has got a lot of people concerned at the moment. Is that with justification?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I think his returns were always going to be slightly unsustainable, which I know has been a talking point for months and months, so I won't go into it too much. But and so I don't think it's that much more. I think he's just dipped to the kind of level that you would expect him to, maybe. But yeah, I think is it 2 returns in 7 now or something? It's
spot on, yeah.
Yeah. So he's not, but I mean, he still looks as involved in football in terms. It's just not getting the assists or the goals to come with it. I think if you've got him, I don't think you can sell him because I think we've got a double game week coming up. We think probably
highly likely.
Yeah, we've still got Fulham at home. You wouldn't back again. I mean, I think what did you get against Leeds in the first game? 18, 19?
20, near enough 20 points, I think.
Yeah. Liverpool at home. Liverpool aren't great defensively. I think if you've got him, I don't see why. I don't think you would sell him because I don't think there's anything obvious to go to unless you want to start moving money about. But I wouldn't be rushing to buy him either at the minute because there's nothing. I don't know how much he is now. He must be more than 11 million, is he? I don't own him anymore.
He's 11.6.
Yeah, so it's a lot of money to get someone who appears to be out of form or not out of form. But
he's not. No, I was going to say he's not out of form, is he? I mean,
he's just returns aren't with it.
Sunday's game against Burnley, he obviously does the step over for the first goal. I mean, it's a brilliant, right? And he's basically it's his assist. You're obviously not going to get the FPL points for it. He could shoot himself and score, and he probably would have, but he's give his mate the better chance, which was the right thing to do. He's also had one cleared off the line, which I think ordinarily he puts away. So he very easily could have had 2 goals against Burnley at the weekend.
And I think, was it you're
looking at a 15-pointer again?
The third goal as well. I mean, if Van der Beek shoots instead of rolling it across the middle, he would have had the assist for that, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So it's, so it could, and the thing with him is, it could easily swing the other way, couldn't it? Where when we've all done it with all these, with those 11 million plus players, if you start selling them or, they're just going to punish you with a 15-pointer, aren't they? So I think if you've got him, keep him, but I wouldn't be rushing to buy him.
Do you think you'll rotate because of the Europa League or not? Not yet.
I don't think so. I think there might be slight rotations, maybe with the midfielders and things like that. But I don't think we will. Because I think there's a real push that we need to finish second and show some real improvement and show that we are getting nearer to winning the title. And I don't think we can do that if we finish 15 points behind and we finish third or whatever. I think they'll be desperate to finish second. And the way it's fallen, Solskjaer knows that club. He's not going to rotate against Leeds and Liverpool, is he?
Yeah, that's the point.
I don't think so. I think if the games would have been in other way around, and if we had Fulham in the middle and Liverpool in 37, he might have rotated. But I can't see him rotating against Leeds and Liverpool. I mean, I might be wrong. I mean, he might decide to do it, but I'd be very surprised if he did.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is with the Liverpool game is he might take a choice that he might want to play Daniel James, for example, because of the counter-attacking threat. But I think he'll pick whatever he thinks his strongest team is for that particular Liverpool fixture. I think James is a certain weapon in certain fixtures like that. But otherwise, I think, no, you're looking strongest team versus Leeds. Then you've obviously got first leg semi-final versus Roma. Liverpool, second leg semi-final Roma. And then what we think is going to be the double of Villa-Leicester. So that's part of the concern as well, is you're looking and going, well, yeah, they've probably got a double coming up. That's the rotation game, isn't it? It's Villa away.
Yeah,
is probably the rotation game. As long as you've performed reasonably well, even if you just win one of the next 2 games, for example, that's probably the game that's the rotation. And then suddenly you're potentially looking at your asset just having Leicester at home as a single fixture quite easily. I could even see that fixture in 35, I could even see at Villa, Bruno possibly not even playing in that. And I think that's why a lot of people are considering getting rid, because you look at the upcoming weeks and you ask yourself, when will I captain Bruno Fernandes? Even if you take game week 37, for example, I mean, Liverpool's got Burnley away. There's some other Kane's got Villa at home. Would you definitely prefer United at home to a Fulham team who might not be relegated, for example? And I'm not sure that you would. I mean, what would you say about Bruno this weekend versus Salah, who's had a rest, who presumably plays at home to Newcastle, and the Leicester players, Vardy and Nacho, at home to Palace on Monday night?
I think if you've already got a Salah or a Vardy or an Iheanacho, I would be captaining them over Fernandes this week. I think
That's good. I've got all three of them. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, well, I just feel. I mean, Leeds. I know Leeds have had a few pastings, but they're not actually that bad defensively. I don't think. I think it's a bit overhyped that they're an easy touch. I know they've had a few absolute slappings, but they've probably got double figures in clean sheets as well.
Yeah, I mean, Llorente's made such a difference for us.
Yeah. So I don't think it's as good as it looks. I know if you look at our goals against, and we beat them 6 last time, and I think if you've got a Salah against Newcastle, or you've got Vardy or Iheanacho against Palace, I think you're overthinking it if you try and go to Fernandes, unless you've got like mini leagues you want to win or something like that, and you know for a fact that top of the league is going for Salah. You could do Fernandes, but no, I think he'd be 4th or 5th choice on my list this weekend. If that, I can't even think who've City got. I can't remember.
No one. Of
course, yeah.
Some idiots in a cup final, mate.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So probably about 4th or 5th choice, isn't he, for captaincy this weekend? I would say.
Any thoughts on that, Andy? On Fernandes?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a captain choice. I haven't heard much talking about him as being captain. I think because we have tightened up, and he has been blanking. I don't think he's a bad captain choice, but I think there is better ones in Salah and Vardy and Nacho. So
do you own him at the moment?
No, because I wasn't going to captain. So
yeah, it's the same. Yeah,
I've gone Salah, and I think I'll be on Salah. Maybe Trent is an option.
Oh,
but I think Salah because for the rest, I do.
And your dad will be on Lingard, I take it.
Oh yeah, it'll be Lingard for the 5th week in a row. Yeah, that's fine.
He'll be on Bruno now for his hat trick.
Probably listen to this.
If you have no idea what we're talking about, you have to get on Twitter and follow Andy FPL_tactician and see how his dad is murdering him at FPL every week at the moment. He's
had 11 or 12 captaincy returns in a row. He had all the Gundogan hauls. He hasn't changed captain too much. Then he's switched to Lingard. He's had 4 of him. Painful every week.
Class, brilliant. Gary, I want to ask quickly about 2 players who are kind of undercurrent of popular at the moment, Mason Greenwood and Edison Cavani. What would you say to people who are considering buying them in FPL?
Yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off buying either of them. I think they're both in our strongest 11 at the minute. Greenwood coming off the right and Cavani up top, obviously. I would probably favour Greenwood at the minute, just because I think if you buy Cavani, I don't know if the strikers, people aren't going to have as many striker slots available, are they? I think if Kane's still fit, you're not going to sell Kane given Spurs' remaining games. And then, Cavani's competing with the likes of, say, Watkins and Calvert-Lewin and Bamford. And, I mean, Everton and Villa are both going to have doubles, aren't they, to come? Watkins and Calvert-Lewin, if they're fit, will definitely play in all of their remaining games. I think Cavani might be one to get a rest given his age and his style. Really, he's not a lazy player, is he? So he's going to need managing. But I wouldn't put you off him. But if you're going to go to one, I think people find it easier to get Greenwood in, given his price and how easy it is to get midfielders in at the minute. And
a word for Luke Shaw.
Yeah, unbelievable. Probably our player of the season.
Good, well done.
Probably the best left back in the country on this season's form. But I don't think that eradicates what's gone on previously. But he's massively improved. He's knuckled down, and he's become the player that many thought he was going to become. And if it's true that he was one of the few people to actually tell Woodward what he thought, he's gone even higher up in my estimations, because that must have taken some bollocks to tell your boss's boss's boss, or whatever he is, that he's an idiot. So, yeah, well done to him.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, there was a lot of early reports saying Harry Maguire, and then I heard Luke Shaw and Bruno Fernandes actually.
Yeah, I think it seems like the main ringleaders were Maguire, Shaw, and Bruno. Yeah, so fair play to all three of them.
Absolutely,
if
massive respect, because that's not easy.
No,
it's even more so at your club, mate. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
He hasn't got as many FPL points as Stuart Dallas though.
No, well, he just he's
even close.
I mean, he's played really well this season, and I'm not disputing that. But the idea that he's an attacking option in FPL is still a myth to me, because he doesn't get the return. I mean, I don't know. He's
got six attacking returns, Gary, this year.
6. Well, and that's his best ever season. I think so. That'll take him to 20 for his career then, because I think he was only on about 12 before this season. So as good as he's been in football terms, I won't be buying him in FPL.
He's been absolutely brilliant this year, and I think it's very easy to forget because of what he went through with the outdated one when he was your manager. Can we have a high five moment for that, by the way, Gary?
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
You laughing at Andy? He's coming down to your level next, mate.
Yeah.
No, he's not. There's no way Leeds would appoint Mourinho.
No, I mean, Bielsa's contract's still not signed, so I'm still a bit worried that Spurs might tap him up. But
right, what's going on now? Go on, because I'd take him all day long, mate.
No, he's not having him. I mean, he's happy, and he's just said he wants to get the games out of the way first, and then he'll look at contract talk. And I think he'll stay. I'm not worried about it.
His contract up in the summer, I take it.
Yeah, I know it's leaving it late, but he's happy. He looks like he's enjoying it.
That prick Levy needs to get another email from me, I think.
I saw Bielsa's odds for Spurs this morning, actually, and I was thinking, that's gone down slightly. That's a bit concerning, but I'm not that concerned yet. No.
It's difficult to see why for him. How old is he?
64, 65? Early 60s, maybe, yeah.
I couldn't see it happening. I don't think. I think if it had been 54 or something, I'd say, yeah, do you know what? Tottenham might ask some questions because, I mean, as you well know as well, a lot of Pochettino's philosophies is based off of all Bielsa's work. I mean, Pochettino thinks of Bielsa like a father, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So could certainly see the links from that. So I wouldn't see it happening, to be honest. I think he's in love with what's happening at Leeds United.
He is, and I'm not concerned. He's just saying, look, let me concentrate on the season. Then we'll sit down and have contract talks in the summer. And I think he'll sign again for maybe it's another 12 months. Maybe hopefully get him on a two-year thing. But
could you imagine me going from Mourinho football immediately to Bielsa football?
You'd be so happy, and
I would, mate.
And I wouldn't listen to Tottenham. I wouldn't listen to Tottenham anymore if that happened. You'd be too happy, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't listen.
I'd probably still be mad. Like, we can't defend, Andy. We can't defend. Okay, brilliant, guys. Really good. Just before we finish, one final thing. Gary, Solskjaer, that 6-2 result was probably the best anyone set up tactically against Leeds all season, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. It just really exploited them, didn't it? And picking Dan James to play there when I don't think anyone would have thought to have started him. No, he did well. He did well that day. But I mean, that Leeds' style then it plays into Solskjaer's sweet spot of terms of soaking things up and sending fast players the other way. So he did slightly play into Solskjaer's hands a little bit, but he took full advantage of it. So yeah. So yeah, I don't know if it'll be the same this time. No, I don't think that Leeds will be as gung ho, but I might be wrong.
We've seen.
On that day, it could have been 4-4. Like we did have chances to.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah,
you are well underpinning that, mate. That game could have been about 8-6, mate. There is historical notes of Solskjaer copycatting things that have worked for him in the past. I think we only have to look at the games that the Etihad over the last few years.
Yeah.
Right? So I think there's a good chance Dan James will play on Sunday, which would make me nervous for like Greenwood and Cavani if I was to go in, I think. Although is there a case that say because Martial's out, I think we saw this in the first half at Tottenham where you just couldn't counterpunch in quite the same way that you have done in games like that this season?
Yeah, I mean, Martial's not had a great season, but he's more mobile. Well, I don't know if he's more mobile than Cavani, but it's just a different threat, isn't it? I'd be very surprised if Dan James plays. Given Greenwood's form recently, unless Rashford's injured, I'd be very surprised if Dan James plays again. But he might, like you say, he's set up very similar every time he played Man City. To great success, really. We've probably beaten them more times than they've beaten us under Solskjaer. So yeah, I don't think it'd be the biggest surprise if James played, but I think given the form of Cavani, Greenwood, and Rashford at the minute, I think you'd be harsh to leave them out, unless you rest them, of course.
Interesting. And Andy,
but equally, Joy, I don't think Leeds will play the same way they played. I know they don't. I know they've got a philosophy and a style, but I don't think they'll be as gung ho as they were in December. I can't see that for the life of me.
Go, Andy.
I don't think so. I think we'll still be brave on the counter, but I think we'll definitely sit in less with the midfield. I think it'd be more like 2 banks of 4 and defending the box more than just going for it and going gung ho and man for man.
So has there been a change or not?
Yeah, recently? We're still going for man, but like you saw against Man City, like when Stones was having all the freedom of the park, it's just like, okay, Stones is the man who can have the ball, and he was getting to the 18-yard box. But then because we're sat in so deep, blocking everything, and the chances they created weren't clear-cut opportunities. And I think that's perhaps because we got people like Llorente back in the squad who can actually defend. So rather than going gun-ho because, we haven't got any defenders, let's just go for it and see what happens. Now we've got an actual system with actual centre-backs playing. It's kind of like, okay, let's defend the box. We've actually got a defender that can defend, and let's play on the counter and sharpen up a bit that way. Yeah.
I've been impressed with him actually over this
really
spell for you,
really
Andy.
Impressive.
I think he's obviously had terrible luck with injuries. I just went to check his price because it shouldn't appeal from an FPL perspective. We were talking about not being able to get from say Phillips to Dallas if you need to. But Llorente's 4.4. Does that work for you?
It's in my thoughts, and I can do that. It's definitely in my thoughts. He's a colossus in the air as well.
It's proven on Monday night. It scored, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's just a presence in both boxes. He can defend well. He brings out the ball really well. And someone like that is also going to pick up bonus points. So if we can nick a clean sheet, kind of looking at 7-8 points perhaps with him as well. So.
Just having a look through the two we did keep clean sheets with him, Chelsea and Southampton at home were both 6-pointers, although admittedly, obviously in the Chelsea game, we didn't have a lot of the ball that night, so probably would have had an influence on that. Phillips, I guess, would be particularly important for you, Andy, wouldn't he? Because, I mean, Bielsa hooked him off at half-time at Old Trafford, didn't he?
Yeah. He's always important to us. He's the key man, really. And if we can get the ball to him, he can start the counters. So if we are going to sit back in, when we do turn the ball over and get it to Phillips as soon as possible, we can hit those flanks with Costa. If it's Costa and Harrison, or hopefully Raphina, then we can really hurt them, because then the runners come, and that's when we can hurt teams like we've shown. So, and Dallas will run for days.
Nice. Thanks very much, guys. Let's do predictions before you go. Then, Andy, off you go, mate.
I'll give him 2-2.
Gary.
I was going to say 2-2 as well.
Oh, Desmond, all round. Go and get dressed up, guys. I am going to, because I'm normally boring with predictions, I'm not going to be on this one. I'm going to say 3-2 to Leeds. No. I think that's probably important on Raphina playing, but I think there must be an element now, Gary, because you've pulled away of the clubs below you. There's got to be half an eye on Thursday. And if there's half an eye on it, I think Leeds can punish, because they won't. They're not going to let you rest up, as you know. And Leeds are on a great run, right? Beat Man City, drawn with Liverpool, drawn with Chelsea, one against Fulham, obviously one against Sheffield United. I think it's 11 points in 15, and what looked a difficult run of fixtures, where many of us kind of ditched the likes of Dallas, if we did, for example. So they've shown really, really good form in the big games recently. It's 5 points against the other scumbags who tried to get in the Super League. Gary, what are Manchester United going to be called on your website at the weekend, Andy? This is going to go down like a lead balloon, isn't it?
I don't know. The Red
Devils or something, is it? Yeah. Manchester Reds.
Yeah.
That was funny, wasn't it? Yeah, seen that.
You've got us in a couple of weeks as well. I'm looking forward to what your social media team does with that. Yeah, great, brilliant. You can follow Andy, guys, on Twitter, FPL_tactician, and you can follow Gary at Is My Cat Playing as well. I don't know what next week's C.O.T.C is going to be. It might be even 2 of them. But we've been waiting for the announcement of fixtures and what was happening with possible rearrangements, but we'll get something organised for sure. We've also got a main podcast for you tomorrow as well. We'll get that out as quickly as possible. We'll try and keep it to an hour, discuss what's happened from the Leeds-Liverpool games onwards to tonight's Leicester fixture. And I guess we'll cover the death of the Super League a little bit more. Thanks again to Andy, Gary. Good luck this weekend, guys. Cue music, please, man child.